Hey, shalom everyone. Welcome to our Qoheleth directed Hebrew immersion class, where we work through the book of Ecclesiastes, also known as Qoheleth or Qoheleth. Today we will be studying Qoheleth chapter 7, verse 15, and maybe 16. As I looked through 15 preparing the class notes today, I was just shocked how apropos it is in light of the wicked slaying of Charlie Kirk in the States. Also, I'm struck by today's date. At least as I record this, here in the East, it is September 11th, which, if you're familiar with the astral prophecy scholarship regarding the book of Revelation, and when all of the astral events came together, recording when the birth of the Messiah happened, it was today. So, even in the midst of such terrible pain, of such a tzaddik as Charlie Kirk, may his name be remembered as a blessing. And may his children remember him despite their young age. And may his widow raise them up righteously, that they may all know each other in Olam Haba. Such a defender of Israel and of the unborn. What a friend of Jews everywhere was Charlie Kirk. It's really quite a loss. Quite a loss. How the wicked in this world snuff out the opinions they are not intelligent enough to defeat. And the jubilation that many of the liberals in the States are posting online now is just sickening. Adonai sees. Just judge sees. El Kana roe. Et kol ha'anashim ha'ele. Ra'im him. V'rak Elohim yodea et ketzam. I'm not cursing them. I'm just saying only God knows their end. Anyway, it's kind of bittersweet as today is, well, the next day, right? It was already the 11th here when it happened, although it was not the 11th in the United States. Here it was the 11th. Sweet that on the same day that such a tzaddik is snuffed out, that it's also the birthday of the Messiah. If we go by the Julian calendar, the solar calendar. Isn't that amazing? So, a correct and true Merry Christmas to everybody out there today. September 11th is the real Christmas, if you go by the Roman calendar. So, I think you'll be amazed seeing what verse 15 says in light of what's happened. Let's say an actual proper prayer. Avinu malkeinu ken yichon ki tishmona et almanat Charlie Kirk benotaiv tishmona otam abba keishon einecha כי הוא באמת היה חבר ישראל. Okay. So here we are, Qoheleth chapter 7, verse 15. It's hit hard in our households. We all love Charlie Kirk. So grateful to Hashem for what he's accomplished. Et hakol raiti bi or bi yemei hevli yesh tzadik oved betzidko veyesh rasha ma'arich bera'ato. All right, let's break it apart. Et hakol. So already Qoheleth is beginning the verse with emphasis. Usually the object, the et, such and such, comes after the verb. But here we have our verb next. Aiti is the verb. And et hakol, that's the object. So putting the object first gives it special emphasis. Hakol, the everything, the all. In context, you'll see that it could be nuanced as both here. But let's just be hyperliteral first. Hak kol, the kol, kaf lamed, the everything. Ra'iti, coming from the verb ra'a, resh, aleph, hey, and the hey went away. Ra'iti, I have ra'ad, I've seen. Et hakol, ra'iti, everything I have seen, or both I have seen. Bimei hevli, the bait is in, and then construct of yamim. This is yemei, days of, the hevel of I, the vapor of me. Yemei hevli, the days of my mist, or perhaps my futile days. I like that one. My futile or vain days. The days of, not meaning vain, but meaning futile. Bimei hevli, in my futile days. Et hakol raiti bimei hevli, everything or both I have seen in the days of my mist, the days of my vapor, the days of my vanity, my futile days, the days of my futility. Perhaps, as Dr. Se'o puts it, in my fleeting lifetime. He understands Bimei hevli, literally in the days of my hevel, is elliptical for Bimei chaye hevli, in the days of the life of my futility. And he references chapter 6, verse 12, and chapter 9, verse 9 for that. There can be little doubt that hevel, vanity, here refers to the ephemerality of human life. Rabbi Fox translates, in my own brief span, bracket hevel, of life, or, quote, in my senseless life, unquote. Let's continue. Yesh tzaddik. Yesh, yod, shin. Literally meaning exists, or the best way to say that this in English is like there is. For the Russian speakers, we have a perfect corollary. Есть. Есть. There is, there exists a tzaddik. Like Charlie Kirk, a tzaddik, a righteous person. Oved, Aleph Beit Dalet. Oved. This is a participle, meaning perishing, or who perishes. Crazy apropos it is, right? Can you imagine? I couldn't believe it when I looked at it. Etak kol raiti. Everything I have seen. Bimehevli. In my futile days. In my senseless days. Yesh tzaddik. Oved. There is, or there has been, a righteous man who perished, or perishing. Betzid. Oh! Be. In the tzedek of. Oh! So here we have tzaddik, that's a righteous man. And then the next word, it's a little harder to recognize because the vowels have changed. The word is tzedek. Quite famously quoted from Devarim as tzedek, tzedek tildof. Justice, justice, you shall pursue. Tildof. Tzedek. And then those vowels, they change because of the suffix on the end. Be, in the tzedek of, oh, in his righteousness. Betzid ko. Just as Kirk was mown down. Definitely a tzaddik among the goyim. Such a defender of Israel. I loved how he pushed back against the horseshoe right. The new anti-Israel right-wingers out there, and anti-Ukraine because they've been invaded by wicked force. Really, because it's a Jew who's the president there. That's really why they're against Ukraine. But mostly the problem is against Israel. These horseshoe right-wingers. Look, I'm right-wing, okay, so. But we're seeing this trend as the enemy infiltrates and sours people and leads them down the road of anti-Semitism. And Charlie Kirk was having none of that. I saw him put vets in their place, anyone in their place who tried to take a stand against Jews in general, against Israel. He had the right theology from that perspective. Those who bless my people will be blessed. Those who bless you will be blessed. And those who curse you will be cursed. Or more appropriately, the more sharp version, Mekalalecha aor, those who belittle you, I will curse. Or those who treat you lightly, I will curse. If only more Goyim knew Hebrew, they'd realize the actual danger of what Tucker Carlson and these other wicked people are flirting with. I like how people are calling him now Tucker Carlson. I called that guy out as an anti-Semite like a year and a half ago or more. One of my good friends strongly rebuked me for it. A friend of mine living in Korea. Now he knows. Now he sees it. That's the horseshoe right. And this righteous man, as righteous as a human can be, of course, right? I mean, who knows? We don't know everything, but I was constantly amazed at the grace he even had in debates to not humiliate opponents too much, to go easy on them, even after thoroughly defeating most of the time. Anyway, tzaddik, a righteous man, oved, perishing, betzidko, in the midst of his righteousness, in his righteousness. You wouldn't expect it. You would expect for Na'arechu Yamaiv, his days to be lengthened. Rabbi Fox comments, sometimes a good man perishes. Literally. There is a good man who perishes. Qoheleth thinks that God's rule is just, but he knows that injustices do occur. Ibn Ezra observed that these violations are anomalies and not the rule. But this does not be a problem because God's justice, unlike ours, could be perfect. Fox suggests that perhaps the betzidko be translated in spite of. He writes be, a prefixed preposition that usually means in or by, better in the condition of. The inequitable fates occur in violation of the expected consequences of one's actions. Sforno reads this as an assertion of the reach of divine justice. God may punish a good person for a long ago transgression, and spare a wicked one for a past good deed. Thus it is wise to fulfill the commandments precisely. Yesh tzadik oved betzidko. There is a righteous man, or there has been a righteous man who perished, or perishing in his righteousness, or despite his righteousness, if we go with Fox's proposal. Veyesh, and there is, or there exists, yist, there exists, rasha, a wicked man. Ma'arich. Ma'arich. What is this verb here? So the verbal root is aleph, resh, kaf, which is to extend. Extend. And this is a he-fil participle. Ma'arich means extending. Or who extends, one who lengthens. When I read it, the feeling that comes to mind is very often we see this phrase with yamim, right? Extending days, meaning having long life, which totally fits in the concept, right? We have this in the fifth commandment. Kibed et avicha ve'et imecha. Lema'an. Honor your ancestors, so that ya'arichun, so that indeed might be extended yamecha. Yamecha, the days of you. So Qoheleth has seen a tzaddik perishing in his righteousness, or with his righteousness. Veyesh, and there is a rasha, ma'arich, who extends the inferences yamaiv, his days. Bera'at, in rara, reish ayin hey, and the hey becomes a tav because it's of. So bera'ah, in evil, of him, in his evil or in his badness. Rasha is a wicked person. The only other context I can think, but it doesn't really fit here, is sometimes a rasha is the person who loses a lawsuit. So it's like some juridical language, not making a moral judgment about the person, right? It could be a civil dispute and he happens to lose, right? So that's the only case I can think of where it's not a wicked person necessarily. And this time I've decided to let this verse, I think I'll let this verse be out there for everybody in honor of Charlie Kirk. May he rest in peace. May his memory be May his children be safeguarded and protected from the hardship of not having a father. May they be righteous girls and righteous women. And may his wife be comforted supernaturally. But if you'd like to continue the lesson, if you're not already a patron, please consider joining my Patreon. At the Levite steps, you can watch this whole lesson. This is the end of part 1 from a 2-part video. This video was proudly Israeli made and edited. Am Yisrael Chai, Od Avinu Chai. Tikkun Olam, repair the world. Do your part to reduce suffering among humans and animals. Shalom.